I know you were only 14 when you played Rudy, and I know, that you guys didn't realize that the film had quite the following that it does, and especially because, the film didn't do so great initially. I mean, I'm still thinking, just your character and this or that. I'm thinking you got more ass than a toilet seat, even at 14.
14, maybe a little later. But, from Kids Incorporated, maybe, getting out and meeting all the little fans and stuff, and we used to play out live or something, or, do a personal appearance somewhere. It was a little overwhelming. I'm like, when I was in school, I was just kind of sitting in the back and no one gave a fuck. Now I'm on TV and you're dropping panties. So, what is happening here? Yes.
Did I just become that much cooler? What the fuck?
It was just a fucking snap overnight. I was a total dork in school. No, I mean, I was kind of cool, but no, total dork. And then, yeah. I mean, who wouldn't want to do this? This is a dream come true.
I went through the same thing with the musician thing, man. I mean, I couldn't get laid with a fistful of 50s in a fucking whorehouse, but all of a sudden,
right.
he plays guitar, he's got long hair, he must be cool. I wasn't, but they didn't know that.
They drop right to their knees. Pick up this guitar really quick. Oh, I just played 3 chords. Oh, you're already, whatever. I'm not going to get dirty.
Well, I mean, I heard this quote, and I forget who the actress was, but she said something to the effect, she played this sexy character or whatever, and said that basically you would only get people that your character would get. So, I mean, was there a parade of reform school girls or something for you, or do you even find that statement to be true?
Yeah, well, I guess at the convention there's a lot of tattooed, badass chicks, goth chicks.
They're my favorite.
They're your favorite goth chicks?
Yeah, no.
The love of my elementary school years was this cute little blonde goth girl. Oh my god. Just wearing super long Cure t-shirts and super caked on black eyeliner and mascara and just scowling through the hallways. Oh my god. I would have done anything for her. She was so anytime I see someone that remotely resembles that, I'm like, oh my god, my childhood. So, and there's a lot of those that come up, and say hi when we're at these conventions, and some of them even have my fucking face tattooed on their arm.
Oh wow.
So I'm like, okay, well, and then, their boyfriend's next to me going, isn't that cool? I'm like, so you're looking at my face while you're fucking your wife? Okay.
Yeah, awkward.
I'm totally into that, that's fine. Or vice versa, some guy has a Rudy tattoo on his arm, and then this girl riding him and staring at my face. I can deal with that. I've had people tell
that's
me
all
that.
right.
I mean, I'm not even making this shit up. I've had people tell me that shit. So yeah, there's fucking sickos out there, but go for it, man. Power to you.
Well, it's got to be weird because your character in this thing, it's become a symbol, right, for just badass.
Yeah, which is funny because if you dig deep, and if you don't mind getting a little heavy right now.
Always up for getting heavy.
If you think of all these characters that you would consider badass or cool or whatever, the personification of James Dean and Rebel Without a Cause, I mean, these guys, and even Rudy, to that extent, obviously he's modeled after those kind of guys, Fonzie or whatever. Well, there's a few lines, that where Ashley's character, Phoebe, says, I heard he killed his dad. You know what I mean? He's in junior high. He's so mysterious in a way. But the truth of the matter is none of that shit is true. This guy is not cool. The clothes look cool. The boy is not. James Dean's character wasn't cool in Rebel Without a Cause. He was a loner. He was fat. He hated his family. He hated everything. He was a freak. And he was misunderstood. Not cool at all. Zero cool. What makes people cool? Fonzie, didn't have parents, so he logged on to this family, and, he thought of Mr. and Mrs. Cunningham as his parents, because he didn't have parents, But it's all, surface personification. I always tell people, take the clothes off of Rudy, take the leather jacket away, take the fucking cigarettes out of his mouth, put the fucking Ray-Bans away, put a fucking pair of nerdy glasses on him, and a polo shirt.
Absolutely.
So you can just hope that, some of that gets across when you do these kind of roles, that, you always make sure that there's an underlining factor and not just some cliche bullshit character. And you look at Norman Reedus on Walking Dead, there's some deep shit going on there. Mm-hmm. He may look like a badass or act like a badass, but man, that guy's sad. He's sad. And he's a sweetheart underneath all that bullshit. And he cares. But when you first got that band of brothers together, he was like the outsider and like, fuck off, man, whatever. But, you slowly let him into the squad, and what happens? Look at the end of Monster Squad. Rudy's like all happy and smiling and hugging everyone,
Well, he found a place to belong.
No, exactly. That's all those guys ever want. All those characters ever want. Just belong to a squad or a gang or a group or whatever. That's all they want. They just want friends.
Now, was there any talk, from Fred Decker or, even just an internal chat with yourself about, weaving some subtext into the character?
I was a little young to understand, method acting and things like that. Although I was enrolled in a lot of classes in Los Angeles, I took some Stella Adler. I was with a few other, private coaches and stuff. But, it was still, I wasn't there yet. It took me another maybe 5 or 6 years to understand what all of that represented and what it meant, and I was just kind of going through the exercises at the time. But when I got the Monster Squad, and for the first thing I did was go to wardrobe, and they were trying leather jackets on me. Before we even started rehearsing or doing anything or shooting, I was, they were fitting me for the wardrobe. So I was, they had all these leather jackets lined up, and they said, "How about this? Try this one on. Try this one on. Let's see if this one looks right." And they were taking Polaroids of me, and the woman, I can't remember her name, lovely woman, she gave me this one leather jacket. I put it on, and she goes, "Oh, this is the one. This looks perfect on you." And I said, "Yeah, it doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like something I would wear." And she looked me straight in the eye, and she goes, "You're not playing you." And I was like, oh my God, I have to use the jacket. I have to use that it's not me in the jacket. That was the very first, epiphany that I got, where I really understood what acting meant.
Hey, it's Andre Gower.
I'm Ryan Lambert.
And we're looking forward to see all of our Monster Squad fans at Louisville SuperCon.
I had to pretend like I was actually somewhere else.
Isn't it
So
Louisville?
when people
No.
come up and say,
No?
"Oh,
It's
yeah,
totally
Rudy,
not.
you're so cool," I'm like, "No, I'm Ryan Lambert."
Louisville.
See you there.
See you there.
It's cool. That's a lot of surface stuff, like I said, and there's a lot of underneath stuff going on if you want to create your own backstory. But that's not me. Rudy is not me. I mean, I put my soul into it, and I gave it all I got. But for the most part, Ryan Lambert off of that set was a totally different person. I was over at Andre's house all the time and shooting bow and arrows in his backyard and having a good time. But not beating out bullies on the schoolyard, saving them from fat kids and things like that. That's not what Ryan Lambert did. So in that regard, that was my first lesson into the way of acting.
Well, it goes to show, the whole projection thing again, right? People just, they take away what they take away from it and, often, project things that aren't there.
Yep. A lot of people do that. It's an interesting relationship that people have with characters on TV shows and how they perceive them in their normal lives. It's hard for people sometimes to separate that. They kind of take to heart that someone is an asshole on a TV show, so they're an asshole. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I mean, what he goes through on a daily basis. Fucking asshole, you killed fucking Glenn. It's like, no, I did not kill Glenn. I went home after I pretended to kill Glenn and had dinner with my wife, and we watched a lovely film, and I went to bed, and then I got back to work the next day, and then they put a leather jacket, makeup, and gave me a bat that was covered in barbed wire, and I started killing more people for pretend. I'm not Negan. You know what I mean? People have a really hard time differentiating those two things. They can't get out of it. The other side of that is there's something to be said for that. He's so good at that character, or so-and-so is so good at, becoming that person. Harrison Ford is Han Solo or Indiana Jones or Decker or something. You can't picture him, eating soup in Montana. You know what I mean? It's just, he's fucking swinging from a whip in the, in Venezuela or something. You know, so, I don't know.
I just totally had that image of like Harrison Ford sitting there like, this is some really good soup.
This is some really good soup. Really smug. Yeah, super smug. He's like, yeah, soup, whatever, fuck soup.
Yeah. Don't even like soup.
You know who does the best imitation of Harrison Ford ever?
Who's that?
Mark Hamill.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I think you can probably find it online. He did it on Nerdist on Chris Hardwick's podcast. He did a little Harrison on
Oh, I can see that being awesome. Mark's great with the voices, like the Joker and all that.
Oh, it's so perfect. It's uncanny. It's like, holy shit, you really got it down.
I remember I was complaining to Harrison that my hair didn't match from the last scene and it was bad for continuity, and Harrison's comment was, "Hey, kid, if the audience is looking at your hair, we're all in big trouble."
I can do like my own version of like an Irishman or something, or like an Englishman or whatever, but I can't imitate someone else's bullshit, you know. And I've tried, trust me. I've tried. And it's not my forte. I can't do it. I suck.
Well, but it was the same thing with music for you, right? Like you said, you just weren't good at trying to be someone else. I found myself very much the same way. I couldn't, I had to write my own solos to, cover songs or whatever because I just didn't play that way. I'm not them.
It was weird because a lot of people always ask me like, "Oh, you're a musician. So whose songs do you do?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "Well, like when you're playing out, like what covers do you do?" I'm like, "I don't." They're like, "You don't play cover songs?" I'm like, "No, I'm a musician. Like I'm in a band." Like, "Yeah, but like, your band, like wedding band?" Or like, "No. Have you ever seen like a band that you like?" Like, I'm like that. Like, I'm trying to actually make it as a musician in a rock band that is going to be original. You know what I mean? Like, you get to ask anybody, "Who's your favorite band?" And they're like, "I don't know, Aerosmith." Like, yeah, like that. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't do cover songs of other people's shit. They were Aerosmith. Like, that's a terrible example. Like, fucking Aerosmith. But then I have to say, well, I have done cover songs. You know what I mean?
Well,
they're like,
sure.
"Oh, well, see, you do cover songs." Like, yeah, but it's me doing. It's like my band, and then we do all of our songs, and at the end, maybe we do "Don't Change" by In Excess. Or something, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or we do, like, I think we did a few Nick Cave covers at one point. So, yeah, because that's for fun. That's for shits and giggles. Hey, let's learn this B-side from U2 from 1984 or whatever, like, that no one's ever heard before, and put it on our own 7-inch B-side, which we did, Set up this 7-inch with my band Elephone. I find it somewhere. It's called Bunny Ears 7-inch. And one side is an original, one of our originals, and then the flip side is Seconds by U2. Like, that's fucking badass. That's what bands do,
Yeah, just covering wasn't like the main thing that you did. Like, yeah, some people just don't understand. It's like, no, we write our own songs. And I mean, especially nowadays where you got like, sometimes there's 15 fucking songwriters on a song. It's like, what, you wrote that by yourself? Like, yeah. Like, I mean, that's why I picked up a guitar, was to write, not, I didn't have any visions of being a guitar player. I picked it up so that I could write songs and then, found that I was half decent at it. So I kept with it, but it's like, I picked it up to write songs. I didn't pick up a guitar to learn how to play the solo from Sweet Child of Mine or something. I mean, as much as I might love the record, it's like that was Slash's thing, man. Like as much as I was influenced by that and all that, it's just not me.
Yeah, people always ask, like, I'll be playing guitar and they're like, "Hey, let's just use Sweet Child of Mine. Do the lick from Sweet Child of Mine." I'm like, I have no idea how it goes. Like, well, you know how to play guitar, so just like figure it out. I'm like, can you give me like an hour? I'm like, I can't read tablature. I'm not that kind of musician. I'm like Bruce Springsteen. Like, I don't know how to write notes down on paper. I don't do that. I'm not Beethoven. You know what I mean? It's like I don't think Keith Richards sits down like writes out like sheet music when he's writing a song. Like, no, I just know how to fucking play the guitar and I know how to sing. The end. And I'll make it up, and someone else can write that shit down if they want to. But here's the chord. I know, I can read chords. If you said A minor to D7, I'm there. I know exactly where it is. But if you showed me that on a scale or something, I'd be like, I don't know what that says.
Yeah, all great to me.
Just say D, write the letter D, and then put a 7 above the D. That's a D7. I'm like, great. No, I know what we're going. How many measures does that go for? Mostly, I don't need to do that because I'm the one fucking writing the music.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't need to read my own shit. I know how the song goes. But whatever. I'm going off on a tangent about that shit. But yeah, I'm just no one ever could teach me how to play guitar. No one would. I went to a class once at McCabe's in Santa Monica when I was 8, and I brought my guitar with me, and it was strung left-handed even, and I had it left-handed, and I looked around the class, and everybody was holding their guitar the other way. And the teacher goes, no, it goes the other way. And I said, no, that doesn't feel right. And he goes, like, you're left-handed, huh? And I said, yeah. And he said, I can't teach you, get out. I was 8. And I sat on the stoop with my guitar in my case next to me and waited for my dad to pick me up, which was an hour after the class. So I just sat there. He's like, how was it? I'm like, how was what? They didn't do shit. Like, they wouldn't teach me. So
it was great, Dad.
Yeah, thanks, Dad. Thanks for humiliating me. You couldn't have told me that this was the wrong way to hold a fucking guitar.
By the way, you still got to pay this prick.
Oh, of course. Obviously, it wasn't until like a few, years later that I realized, fucking Jimi Hendrix, and then obviously years later, Kurt Cobain and Paul McCartney was left-handed. Fuck everyone. Left-handed people fucking kick ass at playing guitar. But except me, I can only do. I don't wail like those people do. But yeah, my mom went out and bought me what was called the Beatles Bible. It was sheet music, but it did have the chord structures. So it had the boxes where it tells you where to put your fingers. I knew all the Beatles songs because my dad is an aficionado of 50s and 60s rock and soul music. He knows that. He'll tell you who played tambourine on an Animals record that you never heard of. So I knew all these songs just rolling around in my dad's, convertible Jets Healy, listening to 8-track tapes of Linda Ronstadt and the Beatles. I knew all this shit. So I opened up the book. It was in alphabetical order. I think the first song was Across the Universe. I looked at that. I knew the song. I looked at the box and said, oh, you put your finger there. If you put your finger here, if you're right-handed, then it must go on this other side of your left hand. And that's what I did. That's how I learned to play guitar. Fucking Beatles Bible. If you're left-handed and you want to play guitar and no one will fucking teach you, go buy the Beatles Bible. You'll figure out how to play guitar. John and Paul teach you, man. They know everything.
Yeah, they were no slouches. They did okay.
Yeah, they did all right.
Call me kooky, call me crazy. That Paul McCartney might have a future.
He might have a future. I mean, when they put your face on a pillow, you're good. You made it.
Oh, they don't have Ryan Lambert pillows out there? Some girls got to have one.
If they do, it's black market.
Well, there you go. There's the next thing for merch for the conventions. Ryan Lambert pillows, little Rudy pillows for the hot goth gals.
I'm working on Rudy panties, so we'll see where that goes.
There you go.
Rudy, eat. Rudy, I'm not going to eat up.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. It's really been a blast talking to you, and yeah, I'd love to do it again sometime.
Yeah, man, just email me. Let me know when you want to do this again. I'm down.
Outstanding. All right, man. Well, it's been a pleasure.